everybody. This is Rick and doing another episode of Rick's So Stories. I have not done these in about 3 years, ever since I stopped making masks for uh, people who needed them for COVID, since you couldn't find them. So anyway, today's story is going to be about my first career. My first career is I was a bus driver, and I started driving buses when I was 18 or 19 for Walt Disney World in Orlando. And then I stayed in the transit industry for about 26 years total, going as far from a bus driver to a supervisor, a scheduler, a trainer, all the way up to a general manager. Then I left that in 2008, 2009. So, anyway, so today's story is going to be regarding things that happened while I was a driver. Most of these things are kind of funny. Some of them are not. Also, this live show is also talking about sewing. So today, instead of making masks, and we don't need masks like we did in the past, I am going to make a decorative pillow, something that you would put on a couch or maybe a bed. Um, the pillow size I use is 16 inch, 16 by 16, which is what this looks like. You can get them um, from Joann's Fabrics. That's where I get mine the cheapest. The fabric is still a little bit of a surprise. The fabric, since the pillow has to be 16 inches, let me see if I can create something. It looks like my frame's too small. No, I'm not going to start now. No. Okay, so the fabric has to be an inch longer, or square. So instead of a 16 by 16 piece of cloth, this has to be 17 by 17. And uh, that's what, this is not the fabric, although this is one of my favorites. One of my friends, Tim Murphy, bought one of these pillows from me. I call this a mod cat. So that's going to be the front side of the pillow. And because I used to do zippers, and zippers are a pain in the behind, at least that was for me, I decided to make it where the back will overlap with fabric. So once you put the pillow inside, the two back pieces would fold over each other and you couldn't really tell. So the back pieces are going to look like this. So what I have to do in the beginning is I have to sew about a half inch. That way the back of the pillow looks like a square, or not square, but a straight line. And so what I did is I sewed this all the way for both back pieces. So I'll show you what I did on this one. So I made a couple of pieces like this. You can see how they overlap like that. Okay. So once this is finished, I turn it back inside out, and I'll show you what the finished product looked like. So with sewing, let me put the other thing in here, which is the sewing machine. Maybe. I'm using a new format than before. Before I used my iPhone, or back then was my Android, and now I'm using my laptop and a brand new mic because the other microphone from the phone wasn't as high quality. So you have to put this inside out, and then once you finish, you fold it inside out. So I'm gonna start right around where the pieces meet in the back, and see if I can zoom in on this. Hope it's not too loud. So, and by the way, I am still a novice with sewing. I am not. I took lessons, and as I was telling Dylan, my friend who got me back into this, Jukebox Ginger, by the way, he's a good person to follow. I was telling him probably should have talked about my sewing and how it started, but oh well. So anyway, I'm gonna sew all the way across, and while I'm sewing, I'm gonna talk about some of my adventures as a bus driver. So at Walt Disney World, I loved working there. It was a great job to have, and everybody there that works there are not employees, as you probably know, but they are called cast members. And so I was a bus driver. They supply you your, it's not a uniform, but it's basically your costume. So anyway, we would initiate new drivers. So here I am driving these 40-foot buses. I mean, 18 or 19 years old, and they let me do this. Anyway, you may or may not know, but just like cars and trucks, the buses also have windshield washer fluid. And because of the windows being so big, the jets can't be at the bottom of the window because there's no way it would reach all over. So the way it works is they put a rubber hose, and it's connected to the front of the bus, and you follow it all the way up to the wipers. So when you hit the windshield washer fluid, it turns the wipers on and the window washer fluid as well. So that's how that happens. So here's my idea of having fun that probably should have got me in trouble. If you disconnect the front of these hoses from the bus, you now have a 40-foot squirt gun. Very powerful 40-foot squirt gun. So whenever we'd have a new driver, we would say, hey, Matt, walk in, can you tell me if my blinker's working? So they'd walk in front of the bus, and then you'd hit the button, and it would and squirt them. And of course, he'd laugh most of the time. One time, it didn't happen that way. I was trying to get this one new driver, and for some reason, he wouldn't walk in front. And he wasn't obvious. He didn't know what I was doing, but for some reason, I couldn't get him convinced into walking in front. So I'm frustrated, and I'm sitting in my seat and not realizing there's a passenger sitting to my right, and she's looking at me. She said, "What are you up to?" And I'm thinking, oh shit. So I told her what I'm trying to do, and she said, "Oh, that's great. Can I help?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So she got off the bus, walked around the back, and she walked to the other side, and she saw the other driver, and she was like a damsel in distress. And she just went, "Oh, can you help me?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." And so he ran in front of the bus and stopped, and I doused him, and we all started laughing. So anyway, am I good? I think I'm good. We'll see. My thread might break, but we'll see. So that was one of them. That was one of my fun excursions. When I became a public bus driver in Tampa, there were some regular passengers that were on what they call express routes. And on these routes, these were like mostly professionals or semi-professionals, like VPs of banks or what have you. And so they're on my bus, and they were regulars. And two of them I like to talk about are Carol and Betty. And yes, I remember their names because they were wonderful people, wonderful ladies. And I am about, almost done with my pillow. Am I close? Well, I think I might be. I'm going to go over one more time. So I've got these regulars, and before this, I had bought these rubber cockroaches for $1, and probably the best entertainment value I've ever had. Let's see how this looks. So, I think I got my scissors. Hold on, let me grab my scissors, guys. So, people are creatures of habit. We all are. I'm sure you are too. So, Betty and Carol would sit in their regular seats. And I would pick up Betty every day, and I would pick her up at a location that wasn't really a bus stop, but it was on the way to the only bus stop, the park and ride. So I told her, I said, I'll pick you up. I'm going to keep the lights off. And she said, no problem. Well, I know where Betty sat. So I put one of those rubber cockroaches on her seat. And to make it sound worse, because it is, at least for me, she every single day she would bring me an apple, and she would give it to me and stuff. And so anyway, and then she'd go sit down. So she gets on the bus, gives me her apple, or my apple, and then proceeds to go sit down in her regular seat. And she's walking back to her seat, and the lights are off, but the sun's getting ready to come up, so there's a little bit of light. And she noticed there's something on that seat that resembles a bug. So she grabs her newspaper and she rolls it up. And I'm laughing. I'm trying not to laugh loud. And she starts wham, 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 hitting that cockroach. And it's dancing. And I'm laughing. And then she turned around and said, you son of a bitch. Let's get Carol. So, of course, we did Carol next. I did this with another passenger later on in the afternoon. I had a regular route in Progress Village in Tampa. And the end of my route was in a shopping center, which is not unusual. That's where a bus can turn around safely. And we normally have extra time. So I always had like 30 minutes. So I'd go inside the grocery store and get a bag of chips or a bag of something, snacks. And I had a regular passenger. And this one guy, his name is Prince, not the one we know. He worked at Burger King. And he would ride every night. So I put all 4 cockroaches in this bag of pretzels. And as he gets on, I say, hey, Prince, you want some pretzels? He said, yeah. So he grabbed pretzels, pulled them out, and he had a couple cockroaches, and pretzels went flying everywhere. So yeah, that was another. I mean, those cockroaches, man, what an investment. So then let's go back to another story with Betty and Carol. I had this route for about 1.5 years, 2 years. I mean, that's unusual, but these people, I got to know who their spouses were, their kids. They give me Christmas cards. I mean, it was great. It was like taking friends and family to work. And they knew me, and they knew I was a prankster. And I also, maybe I'm a little bit aggressive driver, which is not a good thing when you're a bus driver. So in Tampa, to get on the interstate, once you're leaving the park and ride, it's on the left-hand side. This is near Busch Gardens. And the other 3 lanes that are going east are always green. But my light's red. I'm waiting. It's a red arrow. I'm waiting for it to turn green. There's one car in front of me. And these 3 lanes are supposed to be always flowing. But you know what? There's 3 cars on my right wanting to sneak in of a very slow bus. And I'm thinking, you got to wait your turn. So everybody on the bus knows me again. As a matter of fact, a couple of them, probably Betty and Carol, they would put their head up against the glass and say, "Here comes one, here comes one," to make sure nobody was getting in front. So there's these three cars on my right. Lights, arrows red, one car in front of me. So I put what they call the ICC brake on, which basically the air brake. And when you hear that from a truck or something. And my bus is in drive, but I can't go anywhere because the emergency brake's on. And I step on the gas. And I'm not going anywhere, but my engine's revving and my bus is, and everybody's laughing on the bus. And then finally, the light turns green. The car in front of me moves. Once he moves, I pop the brake. My bus lunges forward, and I actually kind of, I take off a little bit. The first car was able to sneak in front of me. Asshole. The other ones had no chance. So they had to get behind me. And so we're all laughing. And on this on-ramp, this ramp also turns into a lane. So I don't need to scoot over when I get onto the freeway. So I'm also at this point on the ramp. Now I'm a bus. Real slow. And the people behind me are really pissed now. And I love it. You should wait and turn, damn it. So I had Betty and Carol come up to me. I said, "Betty, Carol, come here." And so they walked up to my driver's seat, which again is stupid, illegal, unsafe, but I did it. And they are right there with me, knowing that this guy, the first guy was in convertible Mustang, that he was going to flip me off. And I knew it. We all knew it. So as he is driving past, he quickly scooted over and started passing us. And as he's doing this, me, Betty, and Carol are all doing this. So he was like this, and then he went like this, and then he slowed down, and he's like, and I went like this. I reached up, I got my nameplate, pulled it down, slapped it up against the window, and I said, "This is me." So, knowing he was going to report me, the passengers had a blast. And about half of them gave me their business cards. Some of them vice presidents that said, "Hey, if this guy reports you, I'll back you up that it never happened." So I never got in trouble. Another story that shouldn't have happened. So that's some of the fun ones. Let's look what this pillow looks like. And I'm going to, so now I have to turn this inside out. Now, I'm going to talk about an event that wasn't good. I was driving this Route 36, which is called the West Side Shopper in Tampa. And it went by the Tampa Bay Stadium. I got to do this one again. Boy, it's been a while. I messed up a little bit, but we'll fix it. I'll fix it. But you'll get the idea. So for fun, guys, because the topic was buses, I did VW buses. What do you think? Huh? Pretty cool. So I'll tell you about an event that wasn't good. The Buccaneers were playing. This is when they sucked, which was all but 10 years ago. And but there still was traffic, and I was the last bus going west. And as I picked up, there's a mall next door to the plaza. Next to the stadium at the time. That's no longer there. And I picked up like 5 or 6 people, including a couple, a man and woman. And the man asked me, "Why can't you use a radio to find out where the buses are?" And I said, "Well, the radios are meant for emergencies only." And he didn't like my answer, so he turned around and slapped me right in the face. And it hurt, but I was more stunned than I was hurt. And and then he walked back to the bus like nothing. And as he is sitting down, all the passengers are like, "What just happened?" So I called for dispatch, and dispatch sent Supervisor Robinson out. And unfortunately, because of traffic, he wasn't going to get there in time. That couple got off the bus to make a phone call because this is before cell phones. Went inside the mall to make a phone call. Said we'll be back. As soon as they walked into the mall, my supervisor pulled up. I told him what happened, and he said, just go ahead and roll. I'll keep an eye out for them. And you think that's it? Nope. The very next day, which was a Monday, because the game obviously was on a Sunday, I had to meet with the director of transportation because there was a complaint filed against me. So I went to go see him, and he said, "Hey, Rick, we have a complaint that you left a couple people at the mall yesterday." And I'm thinking, "Oh, yeah, I left two people actually." And he was like, "What? Really? Man," he goes, "of all drivers, I didn't think it would be you because, you do what you're supposed to." And I said, "Well, did they tell you that they slapped me?" And he said, "What?" And he said, "From now on, if that ever happens, just call 911. So, because you never know what these people might do." So let's look at this pillow. I need to probably iron it, but this is what it looks like. In the back, you can see what I was telling you, how it overlaps. Again, I'll finagle it. So, and what makes this nice also is it's machine washable. So, anyway, so that's my bus stories. Of course, I have others, small ones. When I was a bus driver in Tampa again, there was a woman, I want to say lady, but she had a history of sleeping around with other bus drivers. I guess she didn't know me. And her nickname was Peppermint Patty because she always wore red and white striped blouses, similar to like a candy striper, I guess. And of course, she approached me, and I'm like, okay, wrong tree. So things like that. But most of the time, it was good as a driver. I was hit on a couple times. That's always flattering, but that this doesn't happen. So anyway, this is my first episode back. There are others in my page. If you happen to go through my profile and go to photos and albums, in that area, you will see another category called videos. And that's the ones I did years ago when people needed masks. And I told stories. So the premise of this is I'm sewing and I'm telling stories. And most of my stories are kind of so-so. Hey, Carlos. There's Carlos. He was... he's one of the bus drivers. He's one of my great friends from from the day of being... He was the bus driver at the same time. He's... I could tell stories with Carlos too, but I won't. Good guy. He, Tony Hernandez, and myself. They got me through a lot of stuff. One of the stories, if you happen to be able to find the one, the day I thought I was HIV positive and had AIDS, I got this story, not a story, but I got a letter from a doctor that they were concerned about my blood work. And they'd never seen it before. And this is the early onset of HIV and AIDS. And these guys were my best friends. And all three of us read this letter, and all three of us cried. Only to find out that it wasn't HIV, it wasn't AIDS. It was a hereditary blood disorder passed down from my mom called thalassemia minor. Basically, I'm anemic. And she knew about it, but forgot to tell me. Thanks, Mom. I miss you. So, anyway, I don't know how often I'm gonna do these stories. I'm gonna try and do them at least once a week. Tomorrow, I'm heading out of town to a soap show to sell bear soap. So I don't know if I'll do one next week. I'll try. And my next one will probably be about my sewing and how I got started. Hope you enjoyed the show, guys, and look forward to the next show. And make comments if you wish. Tell me if things look good, sounded good. It's a brand new format for me. All right, so take care. And Matt, I just want to let you know you need to call your mom. Okay? Bye, guys.